The 20s are probably the best years of your life. This is when you are introduced to the real world after being a terrible teenager for years. In the next few years, you're going to figure out what are you going to do with the rest of your life. Most people end up ruining their 20s by making horrible financial decisions that will bear on their shoulders for many decades to come, such as student debts, although most people take it when they are still teenagers. Looking back at my life, I knew very little about money because I grew up in a family where my parents didn't care about financial literacy, so I grew up knowing very little about money. All they cared about were my grades at school. Guess what happened? I made every financial mistake you can think about. I was naive and I thought that I know everything there is to know about money. You can't blame me because no one taught me anything about money. I had to figure out everything on my own. There wasn't even such a channel like Proactive Thinker that would teach me everything I need to know about money. I was on my own. But if I would go back in time, there are a few things I wish I knew. If I knew these things, I would take different financial decisions, and I guess I would have become financially free much sooner. So, if you're in your 20s or even a teenager, I think what I'm about to share with you is going to be extremely helpful because it's not like when you hit a certain age, you suddenly get better at managing money, and then there are 40 or 50-year-olds who are still doing terrible financially. That's why pay attention because what you're about to learn might be the most important things you will ever learn. So give this video a thumbs up and let's get right into it. Number 1. Don't try to do everything on your own. Back then, I used to think that I can do everything on my own. Why do I need a partner when I can outwork everyone? But the reality is, having a partner in any project is going to save you a lot of time and mistakes because you always need a co-founder to balance you out. It doesn't matter whether it's a startup, a small business, a YouTube channel. If you can get a partner who is equally interested in that project, work together. Yes, of course, you will have to share the profits or the business, but it's better to share a huge pie rather than having a small little pie by yourself. It doesn't matter how smart or talented are you are not perfect, especially in your 20s. You're guaranteed to make a lot of mistakes. So you always need someone besides you to tell you that you're wrong and vice versa, of course. Every project that I have started with a co-founder has always grown much faster than any project that I did on my own. So don't be selfish and learn how to work with teams. Remember, you're still a kid and your knowledge is very limited. So always be open to take a look at the opposite side. Of course, you could be right, but you also could be wrong equally. And being open-minded is going to save you a lot of money and time. Number 2. Don't be naive. If there is one thing I would tell my younger self is, don't be naive. When you're a 20-year-old college kid, you think that you have figured everything out. You make all these plans only to grow up a little bit and realize how naive you were and that the world works in a completely different way. Or just because you work hard, you think you deserve more. But when you grow up, you realize that no one cares about your hard work. What matters at the end of the day is the final outcome. No one really cares about your grades. Once you're out there in the workplace, what matters is how much you can help the company to grow. Your grades are the least important things. I remember how my friends used to take loans just to buy a cool car because that will get them the girls. I'm not sure how naive you have to be to think like that. Maybe there is a small number of girls who would hang out with you just because you have a cool car. And if they do, you shouldn't hang out with such girls because all they want at the end of the day is to drain the last dollar out of you. All these naive perceptions push you to take horrible financial decisions and unnecessary financial responsibilities, which brings me to point number 3. Don't take a financial responsibility you can't afford. I have many friends who fell in love in their 20s, got married, and already have kids that go to school. Whenever I talk to them, I really feel old because I don't have kids, neither am I married. But the problem was that they were not ready for that financially. So right now, they can't save money even though they are no longer in their 20s. But because they have kids and a family to support, every penny they earn goes directly to their day-to-day expenses, and they can't suddenly get rid of their kids and wives. And because they have so many responsibilities, the idea of losing that job freaks them out because they might be able to cut some of their expenses, but they can't sacrifice their family for that. So they stick to that job with their lives and are ready to do everything to keep it. They literally push themselves into a corner, and now they will probably never leave it for the rest of their lives. They're forever trapped in that paycheck to paycheck lifestyle. When you have a job, your career moves slowly. You don't get promoted every day. You don't even get promoted every year. So whenever you get that little promotion, you slightly improve the quality of your life, which means you start spending more. And if God forbid you overuse that credit card, you will spend your entire life just trying to pay your bills. So think twice before you commit to any serious financial responsibility. Number 4. Stay away from money wasters. One of the worst things you can ever do is develop a bad and expensive habit, especially when you are a 20-year-old kid who isn't making a lot of money. First of all the extra money you're supposed to save and invest, you're going to waste it on another pack of cigars, alcohol, or gambling, or whatever is your bad expensive habit is. Number 2. The opportunity cost of that habit is far bigger than you can possibly imagine. An opportunity cost simply means how much that money would worth if you have invested it otherwise. A pack of cigarettes costs around $7, and let's say you are a regular smoker and you smoke a pack a day. That's $210 a month. Let's say you start smoking when you turn 18. If you instead invested that money in the S&P 500, for example, assuming you will make a 10% rate of return, your portfolio will turn into $1.2 million by the time you hit 58. The question is, what's better? Damaged lungs that you have to spend a fortune to recover when you're in your late 50s? In fact, you will probably never recover them entirely, no matter how much money you spent, or $1.2 million of assets. I think the latter is far better option. Of course, if you're a billionaire, you shouldn't care, but you also shouldn't even watch this video. Number 5. You do not need a lot of money to have fun. We always think that we need to spend money to have fun. While there is some truth to it, but that's not the entire story. Renting a yacht with friends, throwing a huge party, or traveling the world while staying in expensive hotels is fun. But there are also plenty of ways to have fun without wasting a fortune, like going for a drink with friends, traveling the world and staying in a cheap Airbnb flat, or playing basketball or soccer with friends. It could be whatever. Some of the best ways I've ever had fun were the times I spent the least amount of money. In fact, it's not about the money, but rather about the experience you get, how you feel when you're doing what you're doing. Especially if you have really good friends, then you can have all the fun in the world and barely waste any money. Remember the opportunity cost we talked about? Even if you can afford to spend a lot of money to have fun, don't. You should rather invest that money. Remember that as you get older, your expenses will rise, so having more money later in your life is a wiser option. I don't mean that you shouldn't spend anything, there is no point in just keeping money in your bank account, but you also have to be responsible with that money. There are far more points I wanted to include in this video, but I will limit them to 5. If you guys find this video interesting and helpful, I will definitely make part 2. Anyways, if you have enjoyed this video, you will most definitely enjoy this custom playlist that I've created specifically for you that has our most popular videos in business, investing, and the stock market that could potentially change your life. And now, give this video a thumbs up that it deserves and make sure to subscribe if you haven't done that yet. Thanks for watching, and until next time.